Hello and welcome to episode 30 of Fluffy Fibres, the French podcast in English on sewing, knitting, spinning and living green, all of course with the occasional help of the kitty of the house. Hello everyone, this is Isabelle from southern France and thank you so much for joining me today after a bit of a break in the podcast, completely unexpected, but June was really... yeah, it's been a pretty rough month to say the least, but here I am today on July the 2nd, and I'm very excited to be back. You can find me as Fluffy Fibres on everywhere on social media, and the podcast now has its own website, which is fluffyfibres.com. That's something I had hinted at last time I recorded last month. So finally, it has its own website and domain, fluffyfibres.com, which I think is going to be a lot more easy for you to find, rather than the old blog that I really wasn't using as a blog anymore for so long. Anyway, the website is still it's completely operational, but I do want to add a lot to it in the next few weeks as my time allows. So I'll be talking more about that as it comes. So just a small reminder about Instagram. Because my profile is set to private, but this is in no way exclusive. As long as I see from your own Instagram profile that you're a knitter, that you're on Ravelry, that you're a sewist or anything, then I'll definitely accept you. But if your profile is set to private and if there's no description at all, and I really can't guess from your profile, why you're here, then I won't accept you. So in that case, please do message me either on Ravelry or shoot me an email at fluffyfibres@gmail.com so that I can just accept you. I will gladly do so. It's just a safety measure for me. Et petite mignonne, tu fais un petit câlin? Yes, she wants to cuddle a little. So here she is. Some of you have been asking about her, and I know a lot of you enjoy to have her make a cameo on the podcast. The treatment. She's responding really well to treatment. If you followed the podcast for a few months, you'll know that she has a few health issues due to her being 12 now. So she's getting old, and she's not quite. I'd like her to put on a little more weight. She really hasn't put on a lot of it yet. So, but she's due for a visit at the vet next week, actually. So hopefully we'll know more. But he says, her thyroid levels are definitely better, so that's great. And she's just her usual happy, cuddly, serene self. So that's always wonderful. I think she's going to sit in my lap for a while, keeping me warm, because that's exactly what I want right now, right? If you're in Europe right now, we are going through a massive heat wave. So I'm recorded with my fan once again. I do know it causes quite a bit of background noise, which I try to suppress as much as possible when editing, but it does also, of course, alter the quality of the sound overall. So I'm doing my best, but I tried to record without it, and it's just, I was going to turn into a sweaty hot mess very, very fast. So yeah, that was not an option. So today's episode will include a handmade wardrobe, a bit of sewing, a bit of knitting, a lot of spinning, and events, and the giveaways that had been going on. For a handmade wardrobe, I'm not going to be able to get up because I have Petite Mignonne on my lap, but I'm wearing one of my Anna dresses, which is a design by By Hand London, and this is, I think it's my favorite out of all the Anna dresses. That I made 3 Anna dresses, and I think this one is my favorite because of the fabric, which I absolutely adore, and it's all my favorite shades, all my favorite colors. it's a cafe facet fabric, which is called Millefiori Blue, and it's quite striking with all these bold frints, a little bit like mandalas really, and it's all in deep blues and purples and greens, so absolutely my cup of tea. And actually this leads me perfectly into a bit of sewing, because I just finished, well, not just, but in June I made another Anna dress. So here it is, and it's not perfectly pressed because I don't press things when it's so hot. It just doesn't make sense. It would warm up the whole house, you know. So I just don't do that. So most of the time I press them when they're wet, really. But this time Seb hung the laundry, and it's not that his thing to do that kind of thing. So I'm just going to wet it. You know, whenever I want to wear it, I'm just going to wet it back again. So and really press it with my hands, really. So what I love about the Anna dress is these open pleats at the bust, really. The way the bust shaping is created by these bucks pleats. You have a couple at each side, and it's really quite lovely. So I made this one with the same neckline, this boat neckline, the same as my Millefiori dress. And the fabric was a gift from Seb from my birthday last year. I can't remember for the life of me the name of this fabric, but it's something stitch circle, the jewel colorway, but I can't remember the designer. I'm so sorry. I'll put it in the show notes, obviously, and maybe add it in this screen somewhere. But yeah, so it's a deep, like a deep fuchsia color, really, which I love, again. And you have these little lines of circle that really do look like stitching lines on it. And they look black, but in fact when you look closely they're a very dark navy. So yeah, I made this in early, I think right after I recorded the previous episode, and because this was my third one that I made, when you make a garment several times, they go so much quicker the next time you make them. So that went really fast. I mean, the pattern was already cut out. I knew exactly what alterations I had to make. And the alteration that I do for this particular pattern is the back, because you have the back, it gapes a lot, I think, and that was a remark about a lot of people online. So there's a very easy fix for that, and it's to alter your pattern piece at the back and to make some sort of a dart right there. You know, you fold your pattern over and you tape it, and then that's your new pattern piece that you're going to cut. And so it makes for a narrower back here. So yeah, there's an invisible zipper as always. I was also very happy with my seams, the way the seams cross between the skirt. Because you have skirt panels for this. It's not, you don't have just 2 pieces, well, 3 pieces for the skirt. You have 7 pieces, 3 for the front and 4 for the back. And the way this pattern is made is really very clever, of course, and the bust darts, they meet with the panels, the sewing line of the panels at the front. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that on the screen, but you see, so I'm very happy because I always try to do that with this particular pattern, because that's something that you might see. Obviously it's at the front, so that's something that people might actually see, and I really like to have it really match up well, align well. And the same is true for the back, actually, because you do have back darts as well. I always love a dress that has darts at the back as well, because I have a very narrow back, and this allows me to, I'm sorry, I just kicked my mic, I think, hit my mic with my thumb. I think it must have given you a terrible noise, sorry. But here as well you have this, the seams match between the back dart and then the back panels, the two back panels. And there's a little bit of kitty fluff here, as usual. No garment is complete without kitty fluff, you know, that's my podcast's motto, really. So yes, that's really something I strive to do when I make this particular dress. So yeah, it's I really like this pattern. I might make another one next year, you know. I really love the way this fits me. I really love the shaping in this, because you have this a lot of shape for the bottom of the dress, you know, from the bust down to the waist, really, because of the darts, because of these skirt panels. And the waist is quite high. I mean, it's almost an empire. Well, it's not an empire waist, but you see, you have the bust darts that are sewn from the bust, from below the bust down to the waist. So it makes for a very shaped waistline, which I love. It fits my body shape really well because I'm very petite, but I'm an hourglass figure, and I think having shaped, fitted garments is what fits me best, what suits my height as well best. I think I look better in well-fitted garments because I'm so small. So yeah, I think this really defines the waist really well, the back darts as well. This really fits really well. And then you have the skirt that is an A-line skirt. So I really love the shape of this dress, really. It's just perfect. I always feel so pretty when I wear one of these dresses. So as far as sewing is concerned, that's not the only thing I made. I'm looking at them actually. I won't be able to show them to you by video, but I will include pictures. I made curtains for my daughter's bedroom, because we're here in my daughter's bedroom, and because my daughter in the summer has a very hard time staying asleep in the morning because of the sunlight, and so she will get up very, very early in the summer, like 5 o'clock, and we were growing quite tired about that, you know, of that, obviously. And also she was really not getting enough sleep because she has a hard time napping now, so definitely she wasn't sleeping enough. And so I decided to make blackout curtains. So I shopped for some fabric, which is always fun, and we went as a family to the fabric shop. We went to the fabric shop that is outside of town. So we went together because I wanted us to choose this together. And we found this lime green dotted fabrics, and I love dots, polka dots, and so it matches perfectly all the green theme in her room. Yeah, so it's perfect for her room, this lime green, and it's very cheerful. Also, I think it's very cheerful and it's very age appropriate, but it will remain age appropriate for a long time because not too childish, obviously. There aren't any childish prints on it or anything, so I think it's great, really. I'm very happy with them. So I bought some blackout lining and then the curtains, and this allowed me to have a very nice finish on these curtains. I'm pretty proud of them because I hate with a passion sewing on home deck, especially curtains, because they're so tedious to move around. These are massive because she has French windows in her room, so they're basically doors, and our rooms are very high as well. We have a very high ceiling, so these are humongous curtains, and I actually had to bring my sewing machine down from my little sewing room because there was no way these would fit into the sewing room, and no way these would fit onto my tiny, ridiculously tiny sewing table. So I carried my sewing machine down and set myself up on my at my desk, actually, because I have a massive desk. I work a lot from home, and so I have a massive desk at home. And so yeah, I settled myself there and set to work, and I'm really happy with the way these turned out. I think I may brag that I did a pretty good job with the finishing. They're really well finished, and they have these you know, these roughly, this gathering tape at the top. So yeah, I'm really happy with them, and it really definitely has helped with her sleep. She definitely, it took a little time, and some of you were so supportive about that on Ravelry, and so helpful. I just love, not on Ravelry, on Instagram, I just love it when I share things about my daughter, and yeah, also supportive and loving, and that at that particular occasion, you know, mothers told me, you know, it may take a little time, so don't grow discouraged. And that was just perfect, because, you know, very good to hear, because indeed the first night it didn't, you know, in the morning she still woke up really hard, really early. But of course, you know, her body clock had to adjust, and now she gets up at 7:15 even, which sounds like sleeping in for us, really. So that's really great. I'm so glad. Also, she's been able to nap a lot more easily at home as well, because it completely blocks out the light. So that really has been helping a lot. Because we're on the topic of my daughter, I don't want to mention it too much, because I know I don't want to break down basically in front of the camera, but I posted a little note on Ravelry, and of course, those of you who follow me on Instagram, you will know, and you were wonderfully supportive of what happened last week. We had to go to the hospital, and she's really fine now. We were extremely scared, starting with her. Yeah, but I won't go too much into it, because I don't want to become too emotional, and it's still very sensitive, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, I did want to thank every one of you who was kind enough to write up a message of support and of love, really. It's really meant a lot, so thank you. So yeah, I did quite a bit of sewing, didn't I, since last time? I always get more inspired to sew in the summer month. And I also started on something else, which is this little project bag, which is actually the prize for the 600 members giveaway that I'll talk about at the end of the episode. So I still need to add the ribbon, but I think it's going to turn out really, really cute. So the ribbon is going to be this cream satin ribbed ribbon. So it's going to be a small drawstring bag, perfect for a sock project or a small skein project. And you have little owls on it over a linen background. I really, really love this fabric. I think it turned out so cute. And the lining is this kind of calico fabric in the cream as well. So yes, that's in progress. I started that yesterday. For obvious reason, I didn't have time to finish that earlier, but I'm sure you'll understand, and it will be done, and I will send it out to the lucky winner very soon. So now let's move on to a bit of knitting. And yes, I do have because I haven't podcasted in almost a month. I have so much to share, and I feel like I'm forgetting a lot of things that I'd been meaning to say. And throughout the month, I keep thinking of what I want to tell you and what the thoughts I want to share. But when it gets so long between episodes, I just forget a lot of things. So first of all, I have a finished object. And apparently I completely forgot to weave in ends, because obviously I haven't been using this right now, it's so hot. But I finished my lattice shawl by Maria of the Stitched in Sweden podcast. I'm so incredibly happy with this shawl. I think it's one of my most beautiful shawls that I've knit, and I just adored knitting this. So the yarn, the turquoise yarn, is Old Maiden Aunt, no, sorry, Handmade, and it was a gift from Kate of a Playful Day last summer. It's merino cashmere nylon. It's my first time knitting with MCN, and it's quite nice to be honest. So it was a gorgeous, gorgeous fingering weight. The colorway is called Waterfall, and it's the fingering weight yarn, obviously. And the border, the lace border, which is an add-on border, a knit-on border, the way my Verdure shawlette is constructed as well. I used merino that I had from my stash, and it is Drops Merino, baby merino, so very humble kind of yarn, but I think it worked perfectly because they're both superwash yarn, so they reacted in the same way when I blocked it, obviously when I washed it. And you know, that was absolutely the way I was envisioning this shawl, you know, this deep turquoise and then this contrasting crisp white for the border. And of course I knew with the superwash, you know, the lace would block out beautifully. So I'm incredibly happy with this project. This was such an incredibly enjoyable knit that I was actually sad when it was over. And I know a few, you know, some people think these borders take so long to knit. Maria talked about this when she presented the shawl in the episode when she presented the shawl design. And it's completely part of the design, you know. It's not just that edging. It's actually half of the shawl almost. And me personally, I had a lot of fun because the shawl, you have a gradation in difficulty really with this shawl. You start with this mindless, you know, garter stitch body that creates the shape really, and then you have you move on to this lattice lace, which is very intuitive, was very, very fun to knit, very plated chippy, and then you have this small engaging border, this maybe more challenging, but really I didn't feel like it was hard to knit. It was very intuitive because the squares, you know, they're all lined up, so it's very easy to spot a mistake or to see where you are, and it's very easy to memorize the pattern as well. So I just had such a great time, and I was just so sad when I was done. And I thought, you know, I would, you know, become really tired of the board with the lace border, but it wasn't the case at all. I just love it so much. So the only thing I wish I'd done differently is I wish I'd knitted bigger, because I do have quite a bit of the turquoise left over with, you know, I definitely will have to make something out of it because it's such a gorgeous, gorgeous yarn, and so special as well because it was a gift from a special friend. But yeah, I wish it was, I mean, it's my wingspan actually. It really is my wingspan. But I'm not very tall. I'm 5 feet and not quite 1 inch in imperial measurements, and I'm 1 meter and 54 centimeters in metric measurements. But so it's not super. And I wish I'd knitted bigger. I wish I'd just taken a little time to compute, you know, how many rows I had to add to make the border match, you know. But anyway, it's quite gorgeous. I'm very, very happy. I'm going to use this, to wear this so much. I'm not going to put it on because, well, first of all, it's really hot and it's going to mess the mic again. But yeah, I love this so much. I think really it's one of my prettiest shawls, and I really love this applied border and the contrast, and it's the first time I did a shawl with a contrast like that. So Maria, if you're watching, thank you so much for such a gorgeous pattern. It was very well written. I'm very happy with this finished object, and I haven't even taken pictures yet. So after that, I'm very monogamous in my knitting right now. So after that I started, and it took me a lot of time to start this because the yarn was so gorgeous in a skein. It was like such a work of art that I just couldn't bring myself to cake it up. which may sound ridiculous, but believe me, with such an amazing yarn, it does make sense. So this is the Fairy Hair by Voll & Vine Yarns, Fairy Hair colorway in her left lace base, so it's Laceweight yarn, and I'd purchased it because well, it's definitely one of my favorite colorways, and I just loved the thought of knitting with lace, because I'd never knit with lace before, and Laceweight yarn, and I realized, so the skein is 875 yards or meters, I think yards. So in fact, you know, because I'm petite, I can actually knit a whole garment out of one skein of yarn, which I think is great value, because obviously these hand-dyed skeins are also, with the shipping added up, you know, it's quite an investment obviously, but if you knit just one to knit a whole garment, then that's quite a great value, isn't it? So I am knitting the Lobelia cardigan by Megan Fernandez, and it was published in Pump Magazine issue 3, no, issue 4, which was from spring 2013. And so this design has a very clever construction, because the raglan increases are made by this flower design, which I'm not going to see very clearly, I'm afraid. Okay, I'm going to try and put it on so you can see it better, since I've now joined the underarms, so I can do that. Okay. So you see, well, it's still not blocked out, so you may not see quite well, but you see this detail of the flowers creating the raglan shaping. So you have obviously the same at the back. I'm just so happy with it. So it's reverse stockinette, which is again a first for me. I've never had a garment with the reverse stockinette, but I think it worked really well with this yarn. I think the right side looks equally gorgeous, to be honest, but the reverse stockinette is also so pretty with this variegated yarn. It's also the first time I'm knitting a garment in a truly variegated yarn. I tend to prefer kettle dyed, you know, this tone-and-tone designs in yarn, but what finally decided me as well was seeing Molly's featherweight cardigan that she knit, that she is knitting out of Voll & Vine Fairy Hair in the Volker base, which is a fingering weight yarn. And when I received the skein, I wasn't quite sure what I'd do with it. I mean, I was rather considering making a top, really. But then when I saw Molly's gorgeous cardigan, that completely inspired me to make one of my own. And yeah, so what else do I want to share about this? I'm knitting this on my usual favorite needles, which are the Chiage needles, size 5 US, so that's 3.75mm needles, which is what is recommended in the pattern, and I head gauge. I usually head gauge with my knitting. So yeah, it's so funny, because as I told you, I had such a hard time caking this up, because I thought it was just gorgeous as a skein, and I just loved looking at it as a skein. I have a little shelf in my office. I have lots of shelves for my work, my books, for my research books and my manuals and class books and all that, but I also have part of one of these shelves, the top of one of these shelves has some of my latest acquisitions in it, so that I'm allowed to daydream a little when I need to, and I just can see these beautiful skeins and or sewing patterns, and it motivates me to get through my work, to be honest, so that I can get to them, you know. And so this sat for a long time on this shelf, and just looking pretty, really. But then, in fact, I think the cake is also so pretty, because you see all the color variations. So you have some pinks, several shades of pinks, a pretty warm pink, but you also have this these shades of peach and yellow, very light yellow, almost some purple as well, and some green, sage green. It's just such a special colorway, this one. And yeah, and I'm very, very pleased with the way it's knitting up. So as I told you, it's the first time I'm knitting with Laceweight yarn, and it's quite enjoyable, really, especially as this is a silk and merino blend, and I just love silk blends, silk and wool blends. And it does take a lot more time because, I don't know, because of the way you manipulate the yarn, I guess. It's just more flimsy, so you take a bit more time to form each stitch. Danny of Little Bobbins said the same thing about her Pebble Beach shawl that she just finished out of Laceweight yarn as well. And it's completely true, but the results are just so special. You know, you get this very airy fabric, very delicate fabric that is just so gorgeous. So I would definitely recommend, if you haven't dared to dip your toes into Laceweight knitting yet, I think it's just such a wonderful experience, and again, it makes for more affordable projects, really. I think that is it for my current project. As I told you, I've been extremely monogamous. I did work for a bit on my crochet blanket, but not much at all. The only thing I did is, in fact, it's almost done, really. I finished the 9th rows, and then I squared up. As I told you last time, I made half hexagons to square it up. And now what I need to do is crochet a border, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with that, because so I rounded up all the yarn that I had for this project, and most of the colors are completely gone. So I'm really glad, because that was a great way to use up. You know, I'm really glad that there isn't going to be any waste from this. And I think there's a couple of the shades that do have, I think, enough, I'm hoping, to do a single crochet all around. And I have a lot of the cream left. So I think what I'm going to do is to add a single stitch border of white, of cream, then of one of the remaining shades, then either add some cream or the other remaining shades, and then add a shell edging with the cream. So I think I'm going to take, we're going to the river again this weekend, which is going to do us so much good, to be honest. And I'm going to take this with me to finish, hopefully, over there. I do have a project planned up, which is for Danny of Little Bobbins Knits, purposeful stash knit along, purposeful stash knit along. And I have decided to knit the Little Encolis by Nadia Crétin-Lechen, who has the amazing Itty Bitty blog. She's a Swiss knitter and designer whom I've followed for years, really. She has such an amazing aesthetics. She's very popular among French-speaking knitters, but she's also become very popular around the world, I think. And so this is a top-down cardigan with a lacy yoke. And I'm going to use for this, and this was planned for a long time. You may remember that at Christmas my parents gave me some fingering weight yarn, this yarn, which is the Surnaturel yarn by La Droguerie. It's French merino, and they gave me enough to make a cardigan for myself and a cardigan for my daughter. And it's the slate colorway, which is a gorgeous bluish, mauvish grey, very subtle, interesting color, really. So even though it's a grey, I really don't think it's sad at all. It's not dull, you know, so I think it would be great for my daughter's cardigan as well. So I knit a hit of the day for me out of this. And so I wanted to have a matching cardigan, but not too lacy, because I did want her to have a lot of use out of it, and I want it to be sturdy and so not too lacy and to be warm for the winter. So I've decided to knit this because you do have these eyelets at the yoke, so there is definitely this lacy vibe, this lacy vibe going on, but at the same time, and it's also the same kind of shape in a way, you know, with at the same time, because it flows quite low like the Hito Fude. So I'm very excited to start it, and the pattern recommends sport weight or even DK, but I swatched with this and with the recommended needles, which were 3.5, which I think is size 4, and 3.5mm needles, and I got perfect gauge. I knit my swatch yesterday because yesterday was cast on day, but I didn't quite cast on, I knit the swatch. So I knit my swatch and I washed it, blocked it very lightly, because that's the way I'm going to block this garment anyway, just laying it flat, you know, on a surface. And I got perfect gauge, so I'm very glad about that, and I think it's going to make a very, very pretty cardigan. And the point is, because this knit along is going from July the 1st to October the 1st, which is perfect, I think, for garment knitting. And my plan is, because I've been starting her school wardrobe, my daughter is going to school in the fall, in September the 1st. We're all extremely excited about that. She's going to the school we were hoping she'd go. She already has friends over there, or some of her friends are going to be in the same class as her. So we visited the school all together last week, which was very exciting, and she was right at home. She saw the bookshelves, and she was, okay, I'm set. She adores reading, so yeah, it was wonderful. And so we've already, because it's sales time at the moment in France, so we bought a few things for her last week. After this horrendous adventure at the hospital, as a pick-me-up, we got some clothes at the sales for her to plan her full wardrobe, and so this is going to be part of it as well. And I'm hoping to sew a few things as well for her for school. So yeah, that's such an exciting prospect. It's just so wonderful when your children are ready to grow up. You know, she's been talking about school for so long now, and so she's very ready. It's just wonderful to see her so eager to embrace change and to embrace life and embrace growing up, really. So yeah, and I forgot to say, encolie is a French flower word that means columbine. And for me, it's always been associated to Ophelia in Hamlet, because the first time I read this word was in Ophelia, in Hamlet, first in French. So I first read Hamlet in French when I was in junior high school. And it's the time when she's mad and she offers some fennel and columbine to the king, to Hamlet's uncle. And so I think it's such a beautiful name, encolie. It's so pretty. And so yes, in English it's columbine. So yeah, let's move on now to a bit of spinning, or rather a lot of spinning, as you will see. So, have so much. Because I've been preparing for Tour de Fleece, and what I've decided to do for Tour de Fleece is spin as many minis as I could from all of my fondant fibre stash, which I've been adding to lately. So I just finished, first of all, spinning this mini skein from fondant fibre. It's a fuzzling. It's quite an interesting one. It's very different from the others I spun from her. And that's what I love about her fuzzlings, that you don't know what you're getting, and the fibres are always so interesting. And this one is a mixture, I think, of bamboo, I would say, a very slick fabric, which is the purple here, and something like, I think, Shetland, or a very woolly, natural kind of wool, which is the grey, and I think it's undyed. So and it's very hazy, it has a lot of little fibre poking out. So it's a very rustic kind of wool, and I really like the contrast between the two. I think it made for a very interesting skein. So yeah, I just think this is a bit, after washing it, I realized this was actually a little underplied, so I'm going to run it through the spinning wheel once more, just to ply it a little bit more. So that's for, you know, that's another addition to my little basket of handspun. So I now have 4 fuzzlings, which are quite big. This one was almost 14 grams, so they make for quite fluffy and yummy skeins. And then I have mini skeins of rolags, a couple of them, yeah. So this is all in my little basket of handspun, and but I did have a few works in progress on my wheel as well on top of this, because I had, if you remember, I was spinning yarn for socks out of some white-faced woodland that my friend Sylvie of Une Vie Toute Simple gave me over Christmas as a Christmas gift. And so this was very cleverly made. So it's white-faced woodland, which is the sheep that originates from the Peak District, where we were on holiday last year. And what I received was 4 mini, well, not mini, but 4 smaller tops, really. And they're all dyed in the same way, so that you can easily get a 2-ply with matching colors, really. So you spin them all separately, and then you do a 2-ply, and so you're going to have 2 skeins that should roughly match. And so I plied the first one. You're not going to see much, obviously, because it's still on the bobbin. I haven't wound it onto the knitting knodder yet. But I'm very happy about this. I think it's my finest yarn so far. I spun it on my standard flyer, on my Sonata wheel, but I used the smallest whirl, and it made for a very fine yarn and very even. I think it's my most even, my most consistent yarn yet. And it was even throughout the singles, but also from single to single. You really, you know, they were both very similar in weight, really, in diameter when I spun them up. And also, very funnily, the colors really perfectly matched up when I, you know, because you have some dark blue and then some green and then back to some dark greyish blue, and the transitions were really, they really arrived at the same time on both singles. So I was very happy about this. And well, at the very end I spun Navajo because I had just a little left over on one of these. But if I can show you my 2-ply, yes. So it made for a very, very fine. I think this is definitely less than fingering weight. It's still kinky because I haven't washed it yet, but it's definitely less than a fingering weight. It's a light fingering. It's, you know, if I compare it to my Laceweight yarn from Voile Vine, it's hardly thicker, really. It's really hardly thicker. So definitely a lace, well, yeah, light fingering, I'd say. Heavy lace weight to light fingering. So, and yeah, I'm really happy with the way. I realise I've really done quite a bit of progress as I've been practicing this year. And I think that's because I've been spinning quite regularly this year, you know. So yeah, I'm very happy about that. And so these are designed for socks, and I'm not quite sure, actually, now that I'm done with it. I think the yarn is so pretty. I may make some mittens rather out of them, some very long, you know, mittens, fingerless mitts, not mittens, fingerless mitts, that would start, you know, almost at the elbow. And I think that would be quite nice. I don't wear gloves that much. We don't really need gloves here in the winter, hardly ever. We do need them for like a couple of weeks, but mitts I do need, because I take the train and it's very windy on the, you know, in the train station, and I do need this protection for my, at least the palm of my hands. So I think that would be really nice. And if I have some leftover yarn, then I might make myself a headband or a hat, you know, we'll see. Yeah, I didn't have my cup of tea segment this time because I'm drinking plain old good water because it's so hot, and yeah, in that case I just drink a lot of water, more than tea. So on top of that, I spun an entire braid of Saris Texture Crafts, and I'm about to ply it, so you're not going to see much, unfortunately. I will insert a picture of my spinning in progress so that you can see the amazing braid that this was. So it's already set on my Lazy Kate. And so this I started on Thursday, and in fact, whenever I go through an extremely stressful time, I resort to spinning, and to spinning as much as I can, and you know, ideally to spin a whole braid of fibre, a whole 100 grams of fibre. And I think it really is so therapeutic. It's more therapeutic than anything I can think of, really, spinning. And so I spun this up, yeah, since last Thursday. Today's Thursday. And I finished the spinning on Monday, I think, or Sunday. And then I wound them onto the plastic bobbins yesterday, so that they're all ready for plying. I'm going to do a 2-ply, and my point with this is to simply jumble up the colors as much as possible. So this was an amazing braid of BFL and silk that was made of teals and tans and peaches and light sorbet orange, if you want, which you can very well see here. And because of this very high contrast, I really love this braid. I'm going to talk more about it, how I got it later, but because of the very high contrast in the colors, I decided to mix them as much as possible, because they're also perfectly complementary. As you can see, these are just so perfectly complementary. And they are toned down a little from the initial braid, because you have these spots of undyed or brownish tan between the contrasting colors. You have these, so they help tone it down, really. I think it's just brilliant the way this was dyed up. I think I'm hoping to have as much barber poling as possible. And again, I'm pretty happy with the consistency of the yarn. But for this, because the point really for me was to just relax, I went for my default spinning. I didn't pay attention to the way I was spinning or drafting or anything. I just let my hands do what they wanted. It's not at all something I learned, it's just the way I instinctively spin. Before I move on, I just wanted to take this opportunity to talk about where this came from. So this fibre from saristexturecrafts.com, who is in Devon, Devon, England. This was part of her colour club from early 2015. And it was the first time I participated in a colour club, or in any kind of yarn or fibre club. So I was a little... It's always, you know, you never know what you're going to get. You know, the point is, so for this one, it was a 3-month subscription, and you got one each month. It was February, March, April, I think. So you had a choice of either getting some fibre or some yarn, either some tops, which is what I did, a braid, and you had either 100% wool or luxury. And I went with the luxury option because I don't have a lot of you know, fun blends. I really mostly spin with wool, and I thought this would give me a good opportunity to experiment, really. And you also have bats, for instance, or just you know, sock yarn, and they're all dyed in the same colorway. And the reason why I decided to go with Saris Texture Crafts for that is, first of all, I really like Sarah. I've been following her on Instagrams since I was on Instagram, really, and also before that, you know, she she used to be quite years ago when I used to have an Etsy shop, so that was 9 to 8 years ago. I remember she was quite active in the European Etsy sellers group. I think she was the one who maybe even created it or something. But anyway, I remember her from a long time ago, and she's really very well. I really love her dyeing, her colours, but also she's just quite. I don't know. I really like Sarah. She has a podcast as well, which is called Dreaming in Fibre, which is I really enjoy watching it. She's just so warm and so passionate about what she makes, and so anyway, I decided to go with her, and I knew I would probably not be so disappointed with her colour choices because I really like what she does. And so this one, and I'm again going to put a picture so that you can see the initial braid. It was called abalone, and so it looked like really an abalone shell, and it's absolutely not the kind of colours that I would have picked for myself, to be honest. That's really not the kind of colour that I'm drawn to on websites, for instance. Which is actually precisely why it's so great that I got this out of a club, because actually I adore it. I'm so smitten with it, and it's one of those things that has been sitting on the top of my work shelf so that I could gaze at it and just be happy looking at the braid. And that's also why it took me a while to spin it up, because I just wanted to admire the braid in itself. And because I'm not at all drawn to oranges usually, but this is a very, it's a sorbet orange, but I don't know, it's just not one. I think it's my least favorite color, really. But in this, it looked really fantastic paired with this teal, and teal is one of my favorite colors. I just thought it was just brilliant, so I really love this. And with each braid, you got a little note, well, a whole paper, a whole sheet of paper with the name and the content and what it is inspired from, and tips on either knitting the yarn or tips on spinning the tops, which I think is really useful. Yeah, so the other two that I got are this absolutely glorious subtle pink and greys, and it's Shetland and sea cell, and so the sea cell shows through because you have these strands of shiny fibre that are that took the dye a little less than the Shetland. I just love this. I just love this so much. I really gasped when I received this. It was so incredibly gorgeous, and I think this will make such an amazing yarn. I want to spin this really fine and make a lace shawl out of this. And so this one is called Pebbles Beach, and again you had this little sheet of paper. I don't think I have it here. Yeah, no, I don't, but I just adore this so much. And then the last one, I think, was this one. Yes, April. And this one is absolutely, completely my colours, isn't it? These deep jewel tones. And it's called Enchanted, and again it's BFL silk. And it's absolutely glorious shades of blue. And so the explanation is, today's colour is inspired by the daydream of an enchanted forest. So yeah, and so it's BFL silk, which is the same blend of as the abalone colorway, and I adored spinning this. I think the yarn, my favorite yarn ever that I've ever most enjoyed knitting out of was the Islington yarn by Kettle Yarn Co. in the UK. Because it is a BFL and silk blend. BFL is by far my favourite wool ever. It's wonderful to knit with, it's amazing to spin with, it's beautiful, it's got a great drape, it's so soft, it's just, for me, and it's from, you know, it's a British breed, so local-ish to me. For me, it's just an amazing fibre. And with the silk, it's just dreamy. It was dreamy to knit with, and it's just dreamy to spin as well. So I'm extremely excited to be spinning this as well. So I did want to end until until I'd actually started to spin one of these up, to talk about them. And the timing is perfect because actually Sarah just launched her second colour club for the year. It launched yesterday, July 1st, so the subscriptions are open, and it will be for the subscriptions start now, and it would I think the shipments will start in the fall. So yeah, if you're contemplating getting a subscription club, a fibre or yarn subscription club, I would really recommend hers, Sarah's Texture Crafts club, because I was really happy with what I got. There was a lot of updates as well on how, when you would get your next shipment, that kind of thing. And the theme for the next one is French Impressionism, which is going to be really, really hard to resist for me. And I really wasn't planning, and I'm still trying to resist, I really wasn't planning on getting this, because first I need to spin up this. I have lots of fibres waiting to be spun up. And I'm going to this, Le Lot et la Laine festival next week, and I am hoping to get some French fibre from this festival, so it really wouldn't be reasonable at all. But with this theme, and she's set up a Pinterest board with her inspiration for this. I'm just completely in love with it. French Impressionism is one of my favourite artistic movements. So yeah, that's a really tough one to resist, to be honest. And this is completely unsponsored. I'm just expressing my appreciation of a fibre artist whom I really, really admire. And yeah. So yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to applying this, maybe later today, maybe tonight, because Tour de Fleece is starting on the 4th. Well, we'll be away at the river, but I'm very excited to have all my bobbins cleared so that I can spin on as many minis as I want. And so yes, that leads me to Tour de Fleece. This year I've decided to be part of the Fondant Fibre team. Deb opened up a team on Ravelry, and it made a lot of sense because I was planning to spin up as much fondant fibre as possible anyway, because I want to spin up all of my fuzzlings, and that leads me to my new acquisitions. So there's going to be quite a bit of crinkling, but I treated myself. I know I said, and I should not have, because I said for June I didn't want to buy anything fibery because I'm going to Le Lot et la Laine in just a couple of weeks now, not even in 10 days, which is so exciting. But again, June was just so tough that I just had to treat myself. And also, I'd been looking at this for a long time on her shop. So these are the Harlequin bites. So these are the Harlequin bites by Fondant Fibre, and there was this item in her shop with the label coming soon for a few weeks on her shop, and I just thought this would just be so perfect for my blanket project, because I'm wanting to spin mini skeins for a hand-spun crochet blanket. Even though there won't be just hand-spun in it, I will also add some mini skeins, mill spun, mini skeins. But I'm hoping to have as many, squares, hand-spun squares as possible. And think with this, I think at least have a couple out of each skein. So these are Shetland Merino bamboo. You have 150 grams total. So it's quite a lot, really. And these are just the colors that I love. So they're not variegated, they're tone on tone, tonal yarn. They're going to give some tonal yarn with some pink. So there's a pink one, a turquoise one, a purple one, a green, a peach, and a natural one. So absolutely the colors I'm going for with my blanket. So I was just so excited, and I just didn't want to miss that because I knew I would regret it. And I also got some more fibre, but I'm not showing it because it's for a friend who watches the podcast, so I don't want to spoil the surprise, but eventually she'll get it. And I also couldn't resist this amazing and happy skein of speckled rainbowy yarn. It's called Teenage Kicks over the top. So she has a usual colorway which is called Teenage Kicks, which is a lot more muted. There's a lot more white in it, but you definitely have a white base here. And then you have all these happy colors, blues, purples, pinks, oranges, yellows, lots and lots of different colors. So it's not a rainbow yarn per se. And to be honest, I just love looking at people's rainbow yarn and rainbow socks. But personally, I realize that I'm not really drawn to them. I'm much more drawn to, well, again, tonal yarn or subtly variegated yarn. But this, yeah, this is it. I mean, and I just love it so much. I really love it. So yeah, but on top of that, Deb again added a present for you. So she added the same pack of Harlequin bites, and she says, for your lovely podcast with fondant fibre love. How very kind is this? So this is going to be part of a giveaway I'll do in the fall, after, well, not maybe in September, I'm thinking. So as you know, I am planning on making a handspun blanket with minis, and I launched the idea last time, but I haven't gotten a lot of response. Just a few of you have responded to the thread, so I'm not sure a lot of people are interested in spinning towards a blanket, but I think a lot of us are into spinning minis at the moment. So I have decided to change this spin along from a blanket spin along to a mini spin along over the summer. Let's all, well, not all, but anyone who wants to, let's just spin minis, and we'll call that hashtag mini spin along. And it's going to be another gentle along, obviously, because you can spin as many or as little, as few as you want, obviously, you know. And so we already have an awesome prize. We're going to have more prizes for this. And so let me know what you think about that. And I'm extremely excited about it. And I think if we open it up to spinning minis, I think a lot more people are going to feel included. So let's just chat about this in the thread that I already opened up. Let's share some sources. A few of you very kindly already offered some sources, you know, on top of fondant fibre. For mini bats, really. And also a few of us were interested in having a mini like a fuzzling or a battling swap, which I think would be just so wonderful. So I'm not sure when I'm going to be organizing this, probably rather in late August, early September, because yeah, I don't know, I think the summer is a bit complicated, I think, because some of us are leaving, and yeah, I think it's wiser to do this maybe a little later. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Would you be into a battling swap and just swapping one or two, and when would you like to have this? You know, do let me know. Talking of giveaways, I received the most amazing, generous gift as well from Kristin of Vine Yarns, who has the Yarngasm podcast, and you know that she's a wonderful friend of mine, and I've just enjoyed her podcast from the very beginning, and she's just one of my favorite persons in the knitting world, really. And I also was very bad and got a skein. Again, you know, stress and busyness and work leads to yarn purchases for me. So I got and again, this was because this was a one of a kind, and I just didn't want to pass it up because it's so exactly my colours. So this is some gorgeous blue yarn with a bit of speckles in it. It's called Up in the Air, and that was the name of one of her episodes recently. And it really does look like the sky and clouds and just gorgeous. So it's a stark sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and you have a lot of yardage in this, very generous yardage, since you have 463 yards. So I think that's way more than even 400 meters. So wow. And so in this, she included something for you again. And this amazing color is her Dirty on Purpose shade, which is various shades of grey, some cooler greys, some warmer greys, some darker greys, some lighter greys, just gorgeous, really gorgeous, very subtle. And so Dirty on Purpose on her Smitten DK base, and it's merino nylon cashmere, and you have 231 yards in it. So that's just amazing. That would be amazing. That would make an amazing small shawl or stripy shawl, or you know, a lot of other things as well. It's really gorgeous. It's incredibly soft. Incredibly soft. Has a great stitch. I think it will have a great stitch definition because it has a great twist to it, just like this one really. So I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with it in terms of giveaway, because I have another gorgeous package that arrived again with prizes for we viewers and listeners of the podcast. And so yeah, that's going to make some very fun prizes, but I'm not sure yet, and I just need a little break right now from this kind of planning. So we'll see. Probably in the fall I'll have a giveaway, a very fun giveaway. I need to think about that. I haven't had time to think about that. But yes, the other things that I received very, very kindly, completely out of the blue from a very kind viewer. So I received this package from Nelly Knits on Instagram, who is Katrina, and she's Nelly 1001 on Ravelry. And she sent some prizes for viewers of the podcast. So there's this gorgeous skein, well, ball of Regia in the Africa style stretch. And it's, you know, this very fun self-patterning kind of yarn, and it's very fun. I think it stripes like animal prints actually, with lots of fun colours, and there's this dominating purple colour that's quite gorgeous. So the colour is number 1484, and she also included a gorgeous skein, amazingly gorgeous purple skein of Sparkle Duck in the UK, whom I'd heard mentioned on Danny's podcast a few months ago. And it's gorgeous yarn, really. So it's, I think a DK weight, it's at 260 meters, a DK or sport weight. It's Bluefest Leicester silk and nylon, and it's called Pop, and it's gorgeous, really, really an amazing electric purple, completely in my, you know, my favorite colors, part of my favorite colors. So these both are going to be prizes for the podcast as well. So thank you so much, Katrina, for these very generous prizes. We're going to have some very fun giveaway, I think, soon. And this package also had some treats for me. There was this very pretty Pearl Alpaca Designs bag in it for me, with a very lovely ball of super soft DK So 100% English alpaca. And I'm usually super sensitive to alpaca. I really usually can't wear it. But this is incredibly soft and I see no problem whatsoever. It's absolutely not itchy. And I think because the thing with alpaca is it's not really an allergy, you know, it's because you have little, you know, fiber poking out really, but here not at all. It's very, there's just a very slight halo to it, you know, so it's not itchy at all. It's so soft, so pretty. And so it's a whole little kit for a headband. She sent the kindest card with lots of thank yous on it with in every language, which I think is so relevant to the podcast, which is so international. But really, I'm the one who should say thank you, Katrina. It's just such a lovely package. And she included tons of teas, lots and lots of teas, which I haven't drunk yet. Lots of yogi tea, which I love, and also some puka tea, which I was very excited about. 3 cinnamon tea. Super excited about that. But I'm keeping it for colder temps because I like to drink cinnamon in the fall, and it smells so good in the fall and the winter. So I'm keeping it safely, and it will be such a treat in the fall. And she also included some British, you know, some Scottish shortbread, and that was such a treat because I just love British biscuits. They're just so amazingly delicious, and whenever we go to Britain, we come back with a few, you know, box of biscuits, but of course it doesn't keep for long. So it's always so special to get to eat some. I've eaten through half of it, I think. But I'm saving these, you know. I received the package a couple of weeks ago, and I'm having one just a few times a week, not every day. I'm just saving them, cherishing them. So it was just such a lovely, very friendly, very generous package to receive, and I'm very, very grateful for it, Katrina. So thank you very much for this. Talking of these drawstring bags, I've had a few requests for these because I sent some as gifts to friends, so people have been seeing them, and so they asked me very kindly, and it's a very flattering really for me, but I'm not going to, after all, I'm not going to sell these because I just don't have time. This summer is turning out to be a lot more stressful than I was hoping, and I have just way too much work to have this kind of work on top of it, you know. So I'm not going to be selling these. I'm still going to be making some. Actually, I need to make another one for me because it turns out I gave all of mine away. So I need to make another one of these for me, and I'm going to make some more for giveaways for the podcast because I really love making them. I really love giving them away, but I just can't see myself making enough for you know, for all the people who might want one. So I'm very sorry about that, but I mean, I'm still going to make some. I actually got some fabric when I purchased my daughter's curtains. I found this adorable French fabric with lots of little bakeries on it, French written all over it. So you have here, you have une chocolaterie, so a chocolate shop, chocolate factory, chocolate shop. You have some Earl Grey tea, and then you have this is my favorite, this pâtisserie. How cute is that? I just adore this. When I was in junior high school, I remember I used to love drawing little street scenes with lots of little shops like that. I drew them with China ink Is that what you say as well in English? So with a very fine ink pen, really, that you dip into China ink, and I don't know, it was something that I loved doing, these little streets with all the little shops and all this kind of little detail on it, you know. So yeah, and actually I know exactly who I am going to make a bag out of this for, so, but maybe I'll make another one for the podcast. I really do love making these. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Thank you so much for being in touch through Ravelry or Instagram or email. I always appreciate so much each and every one of your comments or messages or posts on the threads. I'm extremely sorry that I haven't been able to respond as I would have wished to every one of you, but please know that it's hugely appreciated. So I hope you all have a wonderful July. I hope you all have some very fun things in store for July. Next time I talk to you, I will have been to Le Lot et la Laine Yarn and Fibre Festival, which is extremely exciting because it's my first festival. So I'm sure we'll have loads to talk to you about, loads to show you. And in the meantime, I wish you very happy knitting and sewing and spinning and crochet, and just have a wonderful time. Bye!